What's up, all you amazing spikelings? I'm your host, the e-boy that continues to resurrect amazing decks to the modern graveyard. From the modern graveyard. Your only reason for giving thanks today. Aspiring Spike, and welcome to my Shark Typhoon. Today we're going to revisit an old friend, Archon of Cruelty, along with their new bestie, Arcane Proxy. Can we feast in modern with wins and trophies, or will we have to be satisfied with leftovers? Keep watching to find out. Do your part to spread the love with a sub, comment, etc. Alright. Okay, so it is about time to start working on Arcane Proxy in modern, a very, very interesting and powerful card. This is a 3-mana 2/1. Enters the battlefield, exile target instant source with mana value less than or equal to the power, and cast the copy without paying the mana cost. So you're almost always going to prototype this. You're basically never going to play 7 mana, 99.9% of the time. I had some I was trying to get like super deep with this card yesterday. I was really trying to get super deep with it. We could talk a little bit more about it. About those ideas later, but I think that one of the more obvious places for it, and a place I think I need to start getting deeper, is Reanimator, where if you're going to be flashing back powerful 2-mana sorceries, Persist and Unmarked Grave are basically the the most powerful things to be flashing back, or some of the most powerful things to be flashing back. And we had tried this archetype with Founding the Third Path when this card was released, thinking that this was a really good fit. And my general thoughts on this card in the archetype was that Founding was a really strong card in the deck, but that just Founding by itself did not make the archetype more powerful than the Ephemerate versions, than the Aether Mage's Touch versions. And now that we have some redundancy to Arcane to Founding the Third Path, Arcane Proxy, I think we can be a bit more built around this, like the 2-mana spells version rather than like the evoke creatures, where we actually get to play See the Truth. We have 8 ways to flashback See the Truth for some card advantage. We just get to be, low mana curve, lean, mean, lots of card advantage. One thing I've also been thinking a lot is like Leyline Binding is nuts, and Leyline Binding is nuts in Reanimator, being able to just like buy so much time, answer any form of graveyard hate. This card is amazing. One thing about Leyline Binding, though, is you really don't want to play Thoughtseize and Leyline Binding in the same deck, where you really just want to be able to very cleanly get a Triumph turn 1 in your Leyline Binding decks, right? And so, while I think that Thoughtseize is maybe a better piece of interaction than Force of Negation being 0 mana in a deck with like so much cheap card advantage to See the Truth, all these, Ancestor Recalls, a deck that's playing mostly on Sorcery Speed. I think Force is like a really good fit here, actually. I don't want to be playing too many Teferis. I had some Teferis in the main deck of some drafts, but like Proxy is kind of occupying the 3-drop slot in your 21-lane deck. It's kind of high on the curve to play Teferi in the main. But yeah, the main reason we're playing Force of Negation is because you want to be able to get Triumphs turn 1, and you don't want to be like fetch shocking with Thoughtseize. If you have Binding and Thoughtseize in your opening hand, it's usually really awkward. I'm also going kind of in on like white Triumphs for a couple of different reasons, but the main reason is that you want most of your fetch lands to get plains, so you can be more resilient to Blood Moon. This was a big problem that I felt the Witch's Cottage version of Reanimator had, was it was pretty weak to Blood Moon. But in this deck, with every single land being able to fetch a basic, and then you have 7 answers to Leyline Binding after that with the ending and bindings, I think you're going to be, and in the Force of Negations too, you're going to be a lot more resilient to Blood Moon, which was definitely the big issue I had with the other version. What about Shadow Prophecy? The Shadow Prophecy is a card you can play, but when you're building around Arcane Proxy, it's like you play Proxy or Prophecy, you know what I mean? You can't play Prophecy and Proxy in the same deck. Gas with Twitch Prime, thank you. Okay, we have Founding plus See the Truth. Kind of hard to mulligan this. Fjork, the 21 months, thank you. Gypsy with the 5 months, thank you. Opponent is keeping 7 on the play. Yeah, it was those late Atlanta Nights Doom, I think. Maybe they'll take my Archon. Mostly, I really just feel like I need to get a really good night's sleep. That feels like my biggest issue. Is I just need like to sleep in. I haven't been able to sleep in a while. I've got like a sleep debt from Atlanta, where I was sleeping like 4 hours a night on a dirty mattress on the floor. Whoa! They did take Archon. They literally did take the Archon. But that's a story for another day. What the hell? Speaking of Atlanta, was that DreamHack? I was a DreamHack. It was a good time. My tournaments didn't go that well, but I did have a good time. Yeah, perhaps a paid actor. Esper Greasewing Shenanigans. Give me post a link in the chat. I will take a look happily. I am going to get Raffine's Tower, and I think I'm going to get Basic Plains. Oh. Let's go. Oh, man. Wow, this deck can turn 2 Archon? Wow, I didn't realize our deck could Archon on turn 2. Dingus, 16 months, thank you. Man, this deck is nuts. Honestly, my opponent deserves the top deck Persist there, right? If they kill the Archon, we have these Founding to flashback the Persist at a couple turns too. Perspiring Mike, thank you for the 19 months. Yeah, here, I'm gonna fetch my Swamp before I accidentally mill it over with the Founding trigger, but I'm gonna just go Founding Chapter 2 so I can Persist next turn. What do you think about Flesh Gorger Modern? Flesh Gorger is not close to a card you want to play in Modern. People, like, you just can't play big, dumb creatures for 3 or more mana that just have, like, solid stats. And then if you flicker it, you have a bigger, dumber creature. It's a bit better than that, obviously, because if it gets targeted, right, you know, they have to pay life. But that card, I think that card is, like, not close to good enough. Perspiring, like 2 months. If with the 10, like at least the white prototype uncommon, that card draws a card, and then you flicker it, you draw another card. That's like the only like playable prototype flicker strategy. What about Interact? Usually bad underpowered cards do not enable underpowered archetypes to all of a sudden be better. You know what I mean? No, not. Could not play it in the rack. Could not play it in the sack. Could not play it with Tarmogoyf. Could not play it anywhere. Don't play that card. Well, I'm just gonna Persist again. Feeling pretty good about our start, huh? Opponent with a little bit of an assist. A little bit of assist set me up to alley-oop on them. Okay, so let's bring in Fourth Ending for Ragavan Voidwalker. Force of Negation can be nice against Unlicensed Hearse Blood Moon. Still might not be something we want. I think I'm interested in like 1 Force of Negation, and then I can play 1 Teferi. I could play 1 Stony Silence. I think I like a Stony Silence. It's hard to know exactly what their graveyard hate split is, but they're likely to have like 2 hearses. It also stops Ragavan treasures. Let's wait Teferi instead. Let's wait 1 Teferi. They're mostly on Voidwalker usually. Wait, don't have a keepable hand, so I'm not gonna keep. Arcane Proxy is blue. Wow, we have Unmarked Grave, Persist, and an Ending. I'm kind of tempted to just keep 3 fetch lands so I could just like play around Blood Moon super cleanly here. The See the Truth is so nice if I draw Arcane Proxy or Founding the third path, so I think I have to keep that actually. Is this deck better than the 8th Mage's Touch version? So I'm of the opinion that the 8th Mage's Touch version is like probably almost always going to be the most powerful version, although I like put a pin in that because I am working on something else, but small pin in that, okay. I'm of the opinion that this version is almost always going to be the best. Or sorry, that version is almost always going to be the best. But that being said, that version is also like very vulnerable to Blood Moon, and there are a lot of Blood Moons in Modern right now. And this version, playing like all white fetches and lots of answers to Blood Moon to the Bane, is going to be a lot more resilient, and Force of Negation is going to be a lot more resilient. And so I think that like this is potentially like better positioned at the moment, and like is like probably less powerful, but has a lower mana curve and is more resilient to Blood Moon, which are two things I feel like the current metagame rewards a lot, if that makes sense. Okay, is this a deck tech for Red Force? Yes, thank you. Frozen, 20 months, like, thank you. Thankfully, the Voidwalker has to be in play before before we cast Unmarked Grave for it to really do anything. It's been a while. We've done this deck tech a lot, but it's been a while. I feel like if I'm playing Founding the Third Path and Greasewing, I really want to play like at least the third Can't Stay Away. I also would, I think, prefer Faithful Mending to Otherworldly Gaze by a lot. I think Mending is a lot better than Otherworldly Gaze, where you really just want to get like these cards unstuck from your hand, you know? That feels like the biggest priority. I would also almost definitely play third Dig Through Time. Maybe I'm like a bit of a boomer, but the third Dig Through Time also makes the first copy of Supreme Verdict so much better. I would also probably not main deck the Parhelion. So it's like -1 Parhelion, +1 Dig Through Time is usually what I recommend in these lists. -2 Gaze, +1 Mending, and then maybe cut the Jawari Disruption for the third Can't Stay Away. But I really think with Founding you want 3 Can't Stay Aways. I could be wrong about that, but that's what kind of my first gut inclination. Just attack real quick. One card I've always really liked in Greasefang's sideboard is Sedgemoor Witch, actually, where Sedgemoor Witch dodges like the Rending Volleys, the Rending Volleys that are like very, very common in red sideboards. And I also like am a bit biased because I'm someone who's like always playing Izzet decks and I always have Rending Volley in my sideboard. But I feel like Sedgemoor Witch like is probably like a better sideboard juke threat than like Wandering Emperor or Hullbreaker Horror. So your month, but props to you. Thank you. I'm glad you like the stream, Frozen. Thank you for the 20 months. Yeah, you could play Baby Jace in this deck too. You have to play it over like Mentor. Mentor's okay, but it's an option. I want to see it play tested. Hold on. I'd love to play this deck. Infinite players love Leylines, but too much. Well, you have Leyline Binding at least. But I could see how that'd be an issue. It probably doesn't matter. I do think I'm gonna just chapter 2 this, so I can see the truth next turn. Assuming they're gonna be killing this. Shadow Prophecy. You cannot play Shadow Prophecy and Arcane Proxy in the same deck. Like almost full stop. Maybe some rare exceptions, but this is definitely not a deck that can fit both of them. Mulligan the Sand. I don't think I have anything else for you for that deck. Besides a good luck wish, I suppose. Try Scrapwork Mutt at Winota. 2 mana Unearth helps the deck a lot. Deck is able to handle Mishra Meld if you want to do the memes. Oh man, the memes sound pretty fun. Yeah, there's something there. I'm a big fan of Scrapwork Mutt, although for the most part, I mostly just want to play that card if I have Ovalchase Daredevil. Was Profane Tutor considered Arcane Proxy, maybe without Third Path? Yeah, I consider going down Profane Tutor route. I think that would be okay. Definitely not mandatory. You know, there's a lot of options. I feel like I wanted to be a bit more in on like the Founding plan, and you can't really, I think, be on Founding and you can't really be in on Founding and Profane Tutor because those two cards don't work together, but you could be on Arcane Proxy. You could basically, you could cut the foundings for Profane Tutors, and then you could play, you could cut the See the Truths, and then you have like a flex spot. But then it's true, you have like kind of like a word, like I think the Arcane Proxy See the Truth plan is going to shine a lot post board, where people are going to play like slower game plans against you. That makes sense. Search for Persist. Yeah, the problem with Unmarked Grave for Persist here is I just don't have an Archon in the yard at the moment. That would be something that you could do if you had an Archon in the yard already somehow. But I think with this first one, I just need to do this, and then I can flashback this to get a rights if I'm like really desperate to. Do you have a goal when I started streaming, or was I just doing it as an extra income source? I mean, I was just doing it for the love of the game. I don't think that anybody really should start creating content with the goal of it being an income source. Like, you need to do it because you have like ideas you want to share with the world, or, you know, because you think it's, you know, I didn't start off and have an income with it. It was just doing it for the love of the game, you know. Okay, so we mill over a Persist, we get Arcane Proxy, which we did not do. So I think I'm just gonna get my Naya Triumph and then Binding, which does mean I can't cast the Arcane Proxy from my hand, which stinks. We do this now to play around Spell Pierce as well, but I think this is just the line. I've been streaming for a long time. What about Mutt and Avenged Shell? Seems like a natural fit with you. Well, yeah, there's maybe something there. Maybe something there. Do I need to change the name since I'm no longer an Aspiring Spike? I am still an Aspiring Spike. You know, the idea behind the username is you always want to be aspiring. You always want to try to get a little bit better, you know. Unmarked Grave, See the Truth. I think that line is just like not correct into triple Swift Spear Lava Dart. You know what I mean? It's like that you're just gonna die. Okay, here I do think I'm just gonna Unmarked Grave to put we shouldn't have to get the Jetmir's Garden. I'm just gonna put the rights in the yard, I guess. I could put Persist and then Arcane Proxy the Persist, but I think this is fine too. So now any land or any Persist lets us put an Archon into play next turn. And we maybe only have one more turn. We'll see. We'll see. Any untapped land? Every land is untapped. I have both my trams in play. Valk, 26 months. Thank you. I like Founding. Founding has really like high deck building restrictions, but I've played a lot with it and liked it. Okay, very interesting that they're flashing back Lava Dart now. I would think they'd want to wait next turn with their second prowess creature. Why Force over Shadow Prophecy? Okay, so you can't just play infinite card advantage spells. You know what I mean? You'll just die. You'll just die with a million cards in your hand, but you'll die. When you already have Arcane Proxy, See the Truth, and then Founding, See the Truth, that is a lot of card advantage. Okay, maybe we'll live with this. That's a lot of card advantage, but it's also not. It's not. You know, you need interactive spells to slow your opponent down with this card advantage. Is my thinking at least. I guess I should have binding this first to stop the surveil. That was a mistake. So I'm playing Force of Negation over Thoughtseize, really, where when you're playing Leyline Binding, like Binding and Thoughtseize play pretty poorly together, because if you have both in your opening hand, you're like, do I need to get a Triumph or do I fetch Shock here? That's the reason to play the Forces. Thank you, Valk, for the 26 months. Thank you. Who's my favorite character to play in Apex Legends? And they surveilled the Lava Dart into the yard. Although we're probably dead to them just having a dart here. My favorite Apex Legends character was probably the robot with the grapple hook. I also played Wraith a decent amount. I liked Lifeline. Lifeline was really good. Like I thought Lifeline was like really good, but kind of like boring, if that makes sense. Where she was just like not as fun as like portaling around and grapple hooking around. Yeah, Pathfinder. Oh, sorry, I was just dead upward to the Love Dart. Okay, so let's bring in the Stony Silences for their Graveyard Hate. They could have Leyline. I think I'm not going to put them on Leyline. If they do have Leyline, we at least have Binding. I'll bring in the 4th Prismatic Ending as well. We could play Serra's Emissary. I think that that's maybe like a little... not where we're supposed to be. Eric, if you post the link in the chat, I can take a look. I'm going to go ahead and cut, I think, the Force of Negations, and then... probably Founding number 3. I played only one season 1. I think I still played season 1, season 2, like a little bit of season 2. I did play a lot of it back then though. I did play a lot. Is the White Triumph because of Binding? Yes, but also like if you're more white based, white fetch land based, you get to be better against Blood Moon because you have Gate Plains, you can Prismatic Ending or Binding Blood Moon. Sarah's is GG. I mean, my opponent has burn spells. Sometimes they play Vapor Stack too. I got Vapor Stack the other day by Prowess. It's not GG now. Depends. And Archon is also super hard for them to beat. Okay, I really dislike these Bone Shards. I think Bone Shards is like... it's like, okay, with literally only Rin and 6. If you can somehow fit Asmo and Oval Chase Daredevil, then the Bone Shards get better. I'm not really feeling these. I will also say that the plan of like playing Bard class, activating Bard class, and like maybe getting a little bit of value that turn and then go a lot of value the next turn, that plan is a lot worse now that this format is kind of like full of Prismatic Ending, Leyline Binding, Haywire Might Besage You. This was maybe something that was like more viable pre-Image 2, but like building around enchantments like this has become much worse. My first note is probably that 4 Croxes is way too many Croxes. I even like Bone Sharding your Croxes away is like not really that good. Doesn't work that well with Bard class. You're not that good at filling up your graveyard. You have like exactly Grist and like these 3 Bone Shards, but I think for the most part I am not that into it, I suppose. So like you could play like 1 or 2 Croxes, but I would likely I want to play the new 2 mana 3/3. The new 2 mana 3/3. You sack it, your legendary creatures get +1/+0 and indestructible. I think that card seems really good in the Bard class deck. Protect your soul, protect your Birgie. Like maybe even just like a full 4/4 swap, where you can go down to like no Bone Shards. Although you probably just would play like Lightning Bolt or Unholy Heat over Bone Shards. You could maybe even just be straight. I guess Soul is really good. Although Soul is not that good if you're not playing Urza Saga. You know what I mean? It's like I really like Soul in the Jund deck. I don't like it as much here probably. It's not, you know, the worst, I guess. And a 5-color version of Binding over Bone Shards. Yeah, I think just play Lightning Bolts. Just play Lightning Bolts, light Black Splash. Lightning Bolt, late Black Splash, 1 Croxa, 3rd Mox Amber, 3 bolts. So like 1 Croxa and then 3 of the new card. The 3/3 sack. Then sideboard looks pretty stock, pretty standard. I don't know if there's too much to talk about there, honestly. I guess I take a second Persist if they like Unholy Heat and Archon. That's probably gonna be what I want. Yeah, Cyber looks pretty fine. Don't think I've got really any notes there. Oh, sorry. I want to see you play. I want to see you play 2 Besages over 2 of these Alpine Moons of the board. I think with the 4 and 6 Besages would be better than the Moons. Other than that, looks very fun. Okay, awesome. We milled over an Archon. Let's hope that this resolves. The Lucy and Athena getting tricky treats? Yeah, they've been a little spoiled. Athena's social battery is very, very drained. She really only wants to hang out with me right now. She's just like, she just wants to like lay flat on top of me and not talk to anybody or do anything. And so she's been a little cranky because Lucy wants to cuddle with Athena. And Lucy's like, Athena's very, very tired, it seems. Okay, surely my opponent's not gonna like tank counter this. Okay. Something featuring Evangel of Synthesis. I mean, I had Evangel of Synthesis in a brew last night, actually, but you just have to wait. I can't tell you what my next one is because I don't know. I was in very deep last night. Like the last few days, I've been in super deep and trying. Maybe they have another counter. Think which one to use. Yeah, probably. So I'm gonna get my Naya, try him into turn, assuming they don't Blood Moon me. Alright, so I guess I'm hoping to draw untapped black source. I think I still need to get Jetmir's Garden so I could Binding plus Persist this turn if I miss. But like that black source would be nice so I could just Persist with Founding, Persist again. It does seem like super likely that they are just gonna counter me. Okay, so we'll target the Persist. With this still on the stack, though, I'm going to Binding to try to deny a Surveil. Alright, at least they didn't tank on that one. Thank you, baby. Thank you, sweetie.
Mm-hmm. Are you about to say, I don't want it?
No. I'd never say that. Okay. Could be dead. One lightning bolt puts me down to 2. Lava Dart puts me down to 1. Well, we're dead. The Exile Dart to the iteration. Pretty sick. Okay, let's keep this and just discard Archon on turn 1. But with Third Path Iconoclast over the Sprite Dragons. Let me see. I'll see if I can pull up the list I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is a deck I was liking a lot. And I think maybe Third Path Iconoclast is better than Sprite Dragon. Not really sure. It's definitely like less aggressive, and also like the fact that you can't protect it with your mutagenic growth is a big problem from lightning bolts. You can protect it from non-delirious and holy heat and red and 6 though. Okay. Is it really that much better than Young Pyromancer? It is much better than Young Pyromancer in a deck with Mishra's Bauble and Underworld Breach, yeah. So might say strictly better. Or DRCB too good if it had prowess as well? Yes. What a silly question. Yeah, it's already like one of the best one-drops ever printed. You can't just like... Oh no, don't main deck Endurance me. Literally don't. I was supposed to get Godless Shrine on turn 1, so I can't proxy on turn 3. This is so rude, though. This is literally the rudest shit ever. Dixon, 19 months, thank you. All right, let's cast this See the Truth. I think it's pretty painful. I can't cast the Binding right now. I got this jacket at Magic 30. What's the best threat in a deck with DRC and Iconoclast? Monkey, Shredder, Swift Spear, or Arclight? Well, you can't play Arclight if you're not playing Shredder in a deck like that. But I don't know. I think I really dislike Ragavan and Prowess, honestly. I know there's some people who prefer it. I've played it a few times. Ragavan's like okay, but I think that it is like the 6th best threat or something you can play. Like I would rather play Mage, Swift Spear, Channeler as 1 drop, so that's 2 drops for like extra threats. I'd rather play Sprite Dragon, Ledger Shredder, and maybe now Third Path Iconoclast over the card. I'm gonna get a little greedy here. I'm gonna cast the Mending with the hopes of finding a fetch land so that I can Binding and Mending this turn. And that didn't work out, but I guess I am setting myself up to Persistent Archon next turn, potentially. Likely just gonna be dead too, like them courting for 2 or something. I think when you're behind like this, you have to take the higher upside play. Fogger, 12 months, thank you. As anything where bro showed promise in Modern Pioneer, I feel like the best cards in the last 2 sets are reprints. I mean, the best card from the new set is Haywire Might, probably. That card's really nuts. Alright. A little bit early to tell, though. So Emissary is, like, I think in theory good. In practice, it's, like, not that hard for them to loop through their deck and kill it with a Grist. I'm going to bring in the 4th copy of Prismatic Ending. I'm going to cut these Force of Negations. Teferi Time Raveler is a pretty good way to beat Endurance, although it may just be better to be in on Thoughtseize instead. Yeah, let's just try to be on Thoughtseize instead. I don't think we can really afford to be in on both. Only Fears Grist, yeah, I mean, but it's just like, it's just so easy for them to find Grist because Serra's Emissary just is kind of slow, you know what I mean? Okay, let's mulligan. It's fair to play Thoughtseize as a draw. I don't hate that. Don't hate that thought. No, could be fine. Let's go to 5. This deck does mulligan to 5 pretty well. Okay. So we do have our domain with Naya Triumph, Watery Grave. So I think I just put back Island, Unburial Rites. I think that we probably just have to high roll a bit here. We're on a mill to 5. I'm just gonna mill myself for 4. And I found an Unmarked Grave, which is really good. Not as good as just milling over an Archon, but we will definitely take it. Hearse is super weird in Yawgmoth. I've basically never seen it. I'll target the Mending. I think they'll probably activate the Hearse in response, though. Is there a prowess deck that can play Third Path Iconoclast and Saga? You know, you can't play Saga in, or I don't think you should play Saga in your prowess deck. No, you can play it in. You can play it in like the more grindy version of the Iconoclast deck I've been playing. Oh man, the Lucy is stretched out. Hold on. Thoughts on Ancestral Anger and Prowess. Say tried it, liked it. I don't know who Say is, but I've played Ancestral Anger in like a more heroic version of the deck, more focused on the pump spells. I think it can be a bit tough to make yourself more vulnerable to targeted removal. I think they're on Hearse because of Murktide now. I just like don't know how you play any number of Hearse over any number of Endurance. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm you know a bit out of touch. Okay, so my opponent's been missing land drops. So I kind of think just like taking the turn off to ending the Wall of Roots can be okay here. I'm not sure about this, but I feel like this line is fine. Oh, whoops. The Urborg is really messing me up here. Hearse is probably best for the mirror besides Leyline. That's a good point, yeah. Tutor loves Hearse, what's done wonders. Yeah, the mirror, I agree that the mirror seems like a pretty good reason to me to be on it. So next turn, hopefully we can like flashback, ending on the bird, persist the Archon. The problem is my opponent has 4 mana now, and they have 2 undying creatures, so it's very likely we're just gonna be like a turn too slow here. Let's hope that that's not the case, but so I guess I'll target the Young Wolf. This is not, well, this is, I guess this actually does nothing. This does literally nothing, so let me not. As a general rule of thumb, if a game action you're going to take doesn't do anything, maybe just don't take the game action. Another Asian Doctor, thank you for the 16 months, appreciate you. Hearse is pretty good. You have a ton of creatures to create late game. Yeah, maybe I'm maybe I'm underrating it. I mean, Hearse is a good card, you know. The floor is really not that low on it. So they're digging for an endurance here. I feel like we maybe just are almost in scoop territory no matter what, though. I really just don't know how we are gonna get out of this. Okay, yeah, I was trying to work on Arcane Proxy in a more Murktide focused shell. All right, maybe I'm just gonna concede here. I just have no idea how we are ever winning this from this spot. Let me talk about a couple other Arcane Proxy lists I was working on, although I don't actually know that I'm going to be able to, because a lot of times I'll just start editing over stuff and it's not actually